Hello to all my friends back in St. Charles County. This is your State Representative Doug Funderburk coming to you from your Capitol building in Jefferson City. Well, as we are about midway through the second last day of session of the year, and trying to wrap up the last of the business of the people here in Jefferson City, and running through a series of bills that quite frankly are very comprehensive and covering a multitude of subjects. There's one bill in particular that I want to talk to you about that we passed out of the House just a couple of days ago, and will be sent to the governor's desk for his signature, that I'm quite proud of. It started out as a House bill that I was a co-sponsor of. It's through the process turned into a rather large Senate substitute bill. But regardless, in that Senate substitute bill, it had all the elements that I was most concerned about, and that a lot of you had talked to me about over the last couple of years of my serving in this office. But that bill is a major and very comprehensive ethics reform bill. And I want to cover just a few of the topics that are in this bill. There are many more, and you can read this bill online if you'd like to read the full text. But some of the primary concerns that we've had over the last few years based on activities that have happened in this town and across the state were taken up in this bill. And one of the first I want to talk about is bribery of elected officials. Bribery in itself is a crime and always has been a crime, but there are certain types of activities that seem to happen within the electioneering and the campaigning process that in any other situation you and I would both call bribery, but in the process of fundraising and political campaigns, they have been considered pretty much, or at least looked away from pretty much, as just day-to-day business in the electing process. So I'm quite proud to say that we are now going to put some new rules and restrictions over how money flows to and through campaigns, from committee to committee transfers, and there is going to be an extreme amount of new transparency put on top of all this money that flows through these campaigns, that you will be able to see not only how much money was given to a particular candidate, but specifically and exactly who gave that money. So I'm quite proud of that. I think it's going to be a major step forward for us in the future to make sure that campaigns are run with honesty and integrity, but also with transparency. We're going to put a cap on lobbyist gifts coming to candidates. I don't think that any of you would disagree that there are occasions when you want to get together with a group of people to discuss some important subject, or to spend some time learning more about some type of a current topic or subject that might be significant for some upcoming legislation. But there needs to be some limits on how many of these meals and how much can be spent on these meals. And I'm proud to tell you that now we are looking at annual caps on how much lobbyist money can be used and spent on these types of gifts and gratuities. We're also creating in this legislation, should it be signed into law, a committee, a joint committee which would be composed of both Republicans and Democrats, but committees that would help in the future write ballot language on issues and important proposals that are going to come to you as voters in the form of ballot issues that you're going to vote on. And with this bipartisan committee, we're hoping that we can avoid in the future ballot language that is either confusing or sometimes just outright designed to not let the voter be fully aware of exactly what it is they're voting on. We believe that if we have a bipartisan effort, instead of just letting the Secretary of State's office write the ballot language, that you'll have ballot language that's more reflective of the proposal you're being asked to vote on. Campaign contribution limits. There's going to be a reinstatement of campaign contribution limits, although some would argue that in several states across this nation, the Supreme Courts of those states have ruled that those contribution limits are unconstitutional. We have not had that ruling, although it has not been challenged in the state of Missouri, but we've decided that we want to put a cap back. Now there's going to be one cap, and it's going to be the same cap for every potentially elected person in this state. Any candidate running for office, and we will see now if there will be a challenge. We will see whether or not the Missouri Supreme Court will rule that these caps are unconstitutional, but we're reinstating those. Donations from appointees, whether they be appointees from the governor's office or appointments that are made and approved by the Senate or the House. If a person has made a major contribution to a sitting governor's prior elected race, or if it's in the case of an appointment made from one of the other offices, there will be restrictions put on whether or not you can be appointed to some of these committees and so forth that the governor could assign you to. We think that's important to not only those who have worked and would be serving on these committees in good faith, but it also once again adds another level of openness and transparency back to the voters regarding who's contributing to who, and then is there any potential for rewards that are given back to people who make major contributions. Drug testing for state elected officials. This is a subject that has been argued back and forth on both sides of the aisles ever since I've been in Jefferson City for the last 4 years, and we now have strong language in place that will require drug testing of elected officials, and I just feel that it just adds another level of accountability back to you, the voters, the people who send us to these offices, that the people who come here are not only capable of doing the job, but they're worthy of doing the job that they've committed to do. We have put in this government and state accountability bill also some language that would allow for early voting in elections. Now, it's not going to be like what you've seen in other states, some other states where you can vote weeks in advance of an election. But what we've done is taken the restriction off of the early voting process, or just say the absentee ballot voting process in the state of Missouri. So what we've done is we've taken the requirement for you to actually give a written explanation of why you need to file an absentee ballot away. So it'll open the window slightly anyway for early voting and for people who would like to vote before that election day for whatever reason, but not have to sign an affidavit giving reasons why. Photo ID requirement, and this is a subject that has polled amazingly high in my district, just in the most recent surveys that I've sent out. We want a higher level of accountability for people coming in to vote, and that we want them to produce a photo ID, which in most cases will be just showing your driver's license when you come in to vote, as well as that voter's card that's sent to you in the mail. But if you don't have a driver's license, there's provisions in this legislation that would allow for a free state-provided non-driver's license ID, so that we make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get a photo ID. But the integrity of the election process will be greatly increased and improved, we feel, if we have that requirement for all voters to produce a pictured ID before they're allowed to vote. A couple of other provisions that are in this bill as well. One is that we are going to establish that if you, in any election, not just a political election, but any election in your community, in your place of work, if you are required to vote for something, that the requirement now will be in place that you will be allowed to do that on a secret ballot. That you will not have to, if you are uncomfortable with people knowing how you voted one way or another on any issue, but in a situation where you are required to cast a ballot, that you will be able to do that with a secret ballot. And then finally, political activities dues. We want to secure the right of every citizen that is required to pay dues to any type of an organization, that if that organization also in turn donates and contributes to candidates or candidate causes or political causes, that you can direct how the dollars you give that organization is spent, if it is being spent on any type of political activity. There's much more in this bill, but those are some of the major highlights. And again, I'm quite proud to tell you that the bill that we're sending to the governor's desk, Senate Bill 844, found its genesis in a House bill that I was a co-sponsor of and have worked actively on for the last couple of years to see come to fruition. This language, I think, will definitely improve the integrity of the voting process, as well as take care of a lot of those situations in the campaigning and fundraising process as well, to make sure that there is more accountability and transparency back to you, the voter, and that you are fully informed and aware of not only who and how people are getting elected to these offices, but also who supports them and where their support comes from. So again, this is the second last day of session, so this will be my last video of this session, and I want to thank all of you that have responded, have called my office or sent me emails. I look forward to seeing all of you back in the district, and hearing more from you as we go through this next year. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity and a privilege, and I want to thank you for that privilege to serve you here in Jefferson City. And until next time, this is Doug Funderburk, your state representative, telling you I'm wishing you a happy weekend and looking forward to seeing you back in the district. Thank you.